Hello, welcome to the Phil Paolina podcast. My name is Phil Paolina. Today's guest, the one and only Henry Tillman, Olympic gold medalist, heavyweight gold medalist, 1984, the year we had our best boxing team. And I just want to say, Henry, thank you so much for coming on, making the time to come out here. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Crazy time now, huh? This pandemic.
Oh man, it's nuts. I mean, I really don't see the real future to this. I mean,
Yeah.
Everything is blurry.
I don't even see it ending. I don't even know.
No time soon.
You know, that somebody might say it's okay, and then there'll be people saying it ain't okay.
Well, America pretty much built up on conspiracy theory now. That's what sells. Remember, diet sodas was the greatest thing happened. Now they say diet sodas will kill you.
Yeah. Well, you remember? I know my parents used to drink this Tab.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Tab? It was like pink.
TAB, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the number one.
Top there, yeah.
I wonder if they still have that.
They're still around.
Yeah, but this pandemic, everything's going on with the horrible Black Lives Matters. It's so sad, man. What's going on?
But the biggest thing, which I don't hear that many people tap into, is that our children. You got a kid used to being gone from home at school with their friends, sports, whatever they may be into, if it's computer, I don't know, but all that's just gone. Can you imagine that?
True, yeah.
It's gone. Their friends they can't hardly see, talk on the phone.
Sports, too.
Sports, what are they going to do?
I know. I think a lot of them are happy not going to school, but it must be hard now with doing it online.
But we're putting our kids, see, whatever you practice was how you perform, and whatever you do, that feel. So now we have our children at home practicing being at home, almost basically grooming couch potatoes.
Yeah, you got a big point there.
It's weird. You don't see kids riding bikes or nothing no more. Skates, skateboard, none of that. You see grown people on bikes.
Well, speaking of kids, right, doing what exactly what you're saying. What made you take up boxing, and how old were you? Like you're talking about, see, it's hard for children right now if they wanted to do that.
Well, my case with boxing is kind of different from many people. I'm sure as other people started, as everybody say, I started late, because I was March of '81. I turned 21 that August. So I was basically almost 21 years old when I started, and everybody thought I just really lost my crackers, But my whole point, the way I looked at it, is like those other guys just took more punishment than me. They've been fighting since they've been 8.
Yeah, that's a real good point.
But
yeah.
I've been playing sports since I've been 8, but I never played, collegiate sports like for the school and none of that. I just played Parks and Rec, but I played sports all the time.
What was your best sport you played besides boxing?
I mean, I was a decent football player. I was on the weightlifting team. I ran a little bit of track just to stay in shape for baseball. I was a decent baseball player. I mean, I don't know if I could ever win anywhere with it, but I mean, I just looked like a player because it kept me in shape. And
all right, so you're 21 years old. You're playing out in the streets, in the park, with all that stuff.
No, I was in Youth Authority, YA.
What's that?
I was in Youth Authority, California Youth Authority.
Youth Authority?
Yeah, for armed robbery. I was in jail.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
That's like I was in. Well, I had been through all other channels. I've been to Juvenile Hall, Camp Munn, Scott and Scudder, Fenner, LP. I've been to all that crap first, and then I graduated to Youth Authority, which is like, and then I went to the toughest one, which is YTS, Youth Training School. It's a chain link fence separates it from Chino Prison. So you see guys walking away telling, yeah, boy, you coming over here one day, keep on messing up. Because I had what they call juvenile life.
How old were you when you went there?
When I went to about 20.
20, okay.
Yeah, but I was on the football team. When I went there, I got on the football team.
They had a football team there?
All that, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a certified welder right now. I took up welding.
Oh, so that basically was your school.
Well, I made it out of school. Everybody
Yeah.
else was doing time. I say, so shall you think, so shall it be. I say, you in prison, I'm in school. I'm in the institution, but mine is an educational institution. Yours is a prison institution, because that's the way you're thinking.
How old were you when you got in trouble for the first time?
Probably about 8, 9, maybe.
8 or 9 years old?
Yeah. We vandalized this car. It was an abandoned car. Been there, but the car probably was there before I was even born. And we just busted up with rocks and cans. Somebody called the police. They came, got us, took us down to the 77 substation, called all our parents. They had to come get us.
Uh-huh.
That was the way. That was our first tattoo of crime. A record. We call that a tattoo.
Yeah.
You can't erase it.
So 8 or 9 years old, they didn't put you away at that age, right?
Yes, your parents had to come get you,
All right. So when did did you go right back to doing that?
No, we just really running the streets and just trying to fit in and peer pressure, running around 5 or 6 guys. We wasn't in the gang, wasn't no Crips or none of that then.
Where was this? What part?
East, South Central.
South
East side,
Central, huh?
yeah. And that was like recreation. Like we used to jump off apartment
Yeah.
buildings on the mattresses on dares. And that was fun.
When did you do your first serious crime, I guess?
Well, when I went to camp, Camp Munns, which is next door to Mendenhall, which is a fire camp. I went there, I think I did like 8 months or something. I think I did a burglary or something. I don't know what the actual crime was. It was a riding, a joy riding. But it led up this little petty crime, petty here, petty this,
Yeah.
petty that. And then finally the judge said, boom. And the judge that sentenced me just died, and I knew him way later on. I ran into him.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And he gave me all the tapes. And I didn't even know he was following me like that. He gave me all my tapes on VHS right before he died.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Because I knew him. He stayed across the street in Calvin
Well,
Sweden.
he knew you won the gold medal, right?
Yeah, but I remember he knew me when I was a little juvenile.
Yeah.
But he used to always, well, he actually liked my parents. Because he used to get on me like as if he was my father. I don't know what I'm going to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you got a mother and a father, and evidently they love you. They wouldn't be here. They both here every court. And here you, every time you get out, you come right back. You come in front of me again, That's when he sent me to camp.
And you were in camp until 20 years old?
No. I was on 8 months. I came out, I went again, then a few years later, I went back to what they call a junior camp. It was a little older, like 16 to like 18 or something, Camp Finner, up by number 2 highway. I was part of the crew that helped build the Table Mountain up there,
Wow.
where the rich folks come down and watch the movies in the summer. There it is again, free slave labor.
Wow.
America been doing it forever, man. I want to know who gonna, well, America did it themselves. They make the rules so they can change it. Because they don't have no record of being a slave master and all that stuff. But I got a record of I'm an ex-criminal. Why they not the ex-slave master?
Wow.
I just don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how this goes. I want to see if I can do what they did.
Next time, we'll take this conversation up when Van's around. Van would be able to answer that. Van Lathan.
Yeah, I would love to get that answer.
Well, we'll talk about that for sure. All right, so what made you walk into a boxing gym?
Well, I did because my father was a fighter. So in our backyard, even in South Central, we had a dirt basketball court and a dirt boxing ring. But we just played. But my father used to be serious with us just so we can take care of ourselves.
So how old were you when that was happening?
I was just kids. We, no matter what you got for Christmas, a bike, skateboard, pair of boxing gloves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got
it's in
a
your father's
go-kart
blood.
set or whatever else, and a pair of boxing gloves. You always got a pair of boxing gloves. And he would show you, he just tell you, put your chin down and punch straight. Just punch straight. He said, all your friends going to swing like this and you're going to hit them first every time. And we win all our fights.
Smart.
And it was just for us to take care of ourselves. We didn't have to be in a gang. It was 5 of us. 5 boys and 1 girl.
So when did you take it serious?
I didn't until I was in YA. I didn't take it serious then. When I first got there, it was just something to do. Because remember, 108th here, 78th gym here.
Yeah,
we stayed in the gyms.
Yeah.
I can hit the speed bag since I've been 6 years old. But not for boxing. But then when I got there, I was playing football. And then Smitty, rest in peace, used to come to me, why you don't box, man? You should box.
Where did you meet Smitty?
NYA. He was a what they call him, a correction officer.
Yeah.
but he was the boxing coach. But he was the police. But he was a boxing coach. That's it. Just like the welding instructor. Well, I took the welding at my high school teacher. They what they call free workers. They wasn't correction officers. They was just what they was. Welding instructor, teacher, like that. And so then I just started boxing. He come and talk to me to start boxing. And what made me stick it out, because I don't like to lose nothing. And this dude named Arnold Roberts, he's a big old youngster. He's probably about 18, 19. He had no mustache, peach fuzz, or nothing. I still had a little mustache, little peach fuzz. He tore my butt up, and I got so tired. I feel like helpless. I never felt like that before. Not no street fight. You know, but a street fight, you hit, you hold, you talk, yeah, I'm going to kick your ass when I get up, motherfucker. Yeah. That's rest.
Yeah.
But in the boxing ring, you know, ain't no rest till the bell go ding. You can't say, hold on, man, let me take a break. You can't do nothing. And so when I was in there with him, it probably was a minute or two, but it seemed like it was 30 minutes, man. I was so tired I couldn't lift my arm. I'm missing, and he jabbed me, boom, boom. I was like, I'm going to get this sucker. I can't get him. I'm going to get him. I couldn't get him. And so we left, and the next day I went back, because everybody started teasing me. A day or two after, man, we heard boy call him Boo-Boo. Man, we heard Boo-Boo put hands on you, whatever the lingo was at the time, you know, touch you up or whatever. I said, oh, yeah. So I went to the gym the next day. I said, man, let me fight that dude again. He said, you got to join the boxing team. I said, okay, sign me up. He said, no. You got to run 5 miles. I said, what? I never ran no 5 miles. Man, 5 miles was a long way to drive back then.
Yeah.
So
this is Smitty telling you this, right?
Smitty.
Yeah.
And so he said, you got to come out here and run every day till you get up to 5 miles, which is 20 laps around a quarter-mile track. So I would come out there, I would run one, walk one, run one, walk one. I go a few days like that, then I run 2, walk 1, run 2, walk 1. I just kept doing that till I built up to 20 laps. Then he signed me up. I said, let me fight that guy again. He said, no, I have to teach you how to fight first. Then he started training me. 6 months later, I was whooping everybody in the thing, and they was taking me next door to Chino, fighting the big prison guys. I mean, we were grown, but we were really boys.
Yeah.
In institutional age-wise, you know what I mean? We were still boys. We didn't know nothing about over there. Them dudes over there got 30, 40 years. They don't care about nothing. You know what I mean? They hope you kill them. You know what I mean? They just too scared to kill themselves. And so...
Wow.
And so I started boxing. They take me over there, and this one dude, I'll never forget. I only had about probably 3 or 4 fights, because they had to bring people in to fight me, because I couldn't go outside the prison because I had a crime with a gun, a violent crime. So they wouldn't allow me to go out to prison. At least then they wouldn't. And so they was bringing guys in. I was beating them. And then Sean O'Grady.
Sean O'Grady, yeah.
Yeah, he heard about me, and what was the guy who used to train with him too, the older guy? Now he's dead now.
Train with Sean O'Grady?
Yeah, he's a trainee, and he was a boxing analyst. Kind of mean little white dude. He was cool.
Bobby Ches?
No, not Bobby Ches. He was an older guy. He was older than all them then. So I know he did.
Did he train Sean O'Grady?
He may have trained him.
Because I know Sean O'Grady's father trained him, I believe.
No, this guy here, if I could think of his name, it'd come to me hopefully.
He was a commentator?
He was a commentator. And
probably Tuesday night fights, right?
Yeah. But he came in there, and Sean O'Grady came in there to watch me fight.
To watch you fight?
Some guys from the street. And they looked, they said, yeah, he don't look like he just had no 3 or 4 fights. And I had been fighting there probably about 7, 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came in, they started talking to me so sweet. He said, man, I think you should take this boxing serious. Because I was still playing football. And he would come out there and see me on the football. He would walk straight on the football field, snatch my helmet out, and drag me by my pad off the field. Man, you crazy? I said, what you talking about, man? Playing football, because it was full contact.
Yeah.
And we would play against high schools.
Well, you know how boxing trainers could be.
Yeah, they worse than a mama hen.
Yeah. Well, we're guilty of it ourselves, man.
Yeah, we do the same thing. And so I kept fighting in there and stuff, and so it was this one guy. What was that dude's name? They called him Bookworm. I just remember his nickname. But he was had 70-something fights, and the Nationals was coming up in '82.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this was about 82, but it was the beginning, like January, February. And all they talking about is the Nationals, because the Olympics, pre-Olympics, '84.
Yeah.
And so, and they told him, they said, well, you know, if you're going there, this will be this guy's 10th fight. So if he beat you, he can go and represent Southern California. Region, what was that, Region 19 or 29 or something back then? And he said, oh, man, because he's looking at my record. And so he came in and fought. I beat the stuffing out of him. And so then they start going back and forth about how to get me a clearance to leave the prison. You know what I mean? So that was a big thing. And to show you how God worked with his ways, guess who the assistant superintendent was? You would never guess. Eddie Futch Jr.
Eddie Futch Jr.
But I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
When I seen it's called the ODR, which is the officer's dining room. He'd be walking every time at lunch.
Eddie Futch. Tell people who Eddie Futch is.
Yeah, Eddie Futch, what was the nickname we used to call him?
Papa
Papa
Bear?
Smurf.
Papa Smurf or something.
Yeah, Papa Smurf. I mean, he trained all the greats.
Yeah,
man.
he's considered one of the greatest boxing trainers ever.
All time. Yeah, he was a beast.
Yeah.
But his son, Eddie Futch Jr., was assistant superintendent. And so, see, you had to have, because of my situation and the crime and all that of it, I had to have the assistant and the superintendent to sign for me to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And so he called me in one day, because actually they call it like a ducat. They slide a paper under your door at night, and they tell you what you have, where you have to be tomorrow: dentist, doctor, library, or whatever, like that. And mine said superintendent's office. But I didn't really read. As soon as I see superintendent, I went straight to Mr. K. We used to call Mr. K sign Mr. K. I went straight to his office and sit down like this. He looked up and said, "What's up?" I said, "Nah." I said, I got a ducat to come see you." He said, "Let me see it." He said, "No." He said, "That's Mr. Futch over there." And now I'm going, uh-oh. I must didn't hide my knife or whatever real good. I don't know what's going on. I ain't never heard this dude's voice. And I've already been here for a year. I ain't never heard him say a word. Because every time I see him, he just walking to his office, or going from his office here, or going back to his office. He wear them blazers with the little patches on the elbow.
Yeah.
Look straight ahead, don't say nothing to nobody. Like Mr. K sign, you walk up to him, they read your mail. And you walk up, "Hey, Mr. K, what's up?" He said, "Oh, nothing. You better watch your mouth. That girl, boy, you on the edge of getting locked up, put you in the hole. Because you can't, if you go to talking like you're going to do something to somebody in your letter, they get that as a threat, and they lock you up until they investigate it. You know, because they read your mail. Nobody knows what you're talking about but him and you, because he read your letter." He said, "Calm that down," like that, and he keep going. But Mr. Fuss, nobody say nothing to him. And so when I went in his office, I stood up at his desk. I just stood there. I didn't sit down like I did in Mr. K side office. So he finally said, "Have a seat," and he did a few more things. He looked up and said, "You want to box, huh?" I said, "I guess so, yeah." Huh? He said, "Do you want to box or you don't want to box?" I said, "Yes, sir, I want to box." He reached down his desk, pulled out a big old box with them old photo books with them kind of with the little Polaroids that come out like that.
Yeah.
A bunch of pictures with his father, with Larry Holmes in there, with Ken Norton, with Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, all the great fighters that you know of.
You knew all those guys also? You knew who they were?
Only because my father watched boxing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like go home to watch boxing or nothing. You know what I mean? That was me.
Okay, all right. I thought I was hearing something.
And nothing like that, but I was familiar with it somewhat. Because back then, too much TV wasn't on back in the early 60s on TV. You had to listen on the radio anyway. And so I didn't really watch it like that. But he said, "I love boxing." That's my father. He said, "This is an opportunity for you to change not only your life, but your family's life. Because everybody's talking about that, you're pretty good to be so green."
Wow.
Like that.
Wow.
And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, I'm going to sign for you to go down there, but if Mr. Smith asks you to go left and you go right, I'm going to get you expedited straight back here. We're going to send you next door over there to Chino. That was the threat they used for everybody to calm you down, like a verbal threat, like, relax, I'm going to see you next door.
Send you, It's like time out.
Yeah. So I said, okay. So then I go back to the unit and everything. So about a week later, here comes Smitty running. We got our tickets. I'm like, "What tickets?" He said, "Our plane tickets." I said, "Plane tickets for what?" He said, "To go to the National." I said, "I'm not getting on no airplane." He said, "What?" I said, "I'm not getting on no airplane." He said, "Why?" I said, "'Cause my mama said every time black people get on an airplane, they fall." He said, "What?" So they said, "Call me back to the office." I told Mr. Case on that. So he called my mother. My mother said, "Duran." She called my middle name because I'm a junior. She said, "I tell you, if you don't stop, I'm going to knock you from here to Timbuktu." I said, "Yeah." She said, "I can't knock you from nowhere to Timbuktu." it's just a saying. I'm enhancing what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that. 'Cause that's how I found out it really is a Timbuktu. I didn't even know it. I thought it was just like a saying, a joke, you know.
Yeah.
And so she told me, she said, no, but I just said that we couldn't afford all them plane tickets. Your daddy just working. I'm a housewife. It's 8 of us. How are we going to buy 8 tickets to go to Texas and we can drive? You know, at the pickup in the back. It was all boys, one girl. And she was real little then. So, you know, we rode. They couldn't afford no plane tickets. So that was the little tale she would tell us to keep us from asking why we didn't go fly this summer. It was so-and-so and then flew. We would drive wherever we go, Bakersfield or whatever, you know. And and so anyway, made the team. Then we left and went out there, and that's how my career I really got recognized when I went to the Nationals. Cause
where was the Nationals? Was it in
Indianapolis, Indiana?
Indiana,
at the convention center, yeah, in '82. That's where I first saw Tyson at. He had just won the JOs. He was just down, he was just showcasing, walking him around, saying it's the next big thing, and like that. Him and Customato, and a few other people I probably didn't know at the time. And you remember how they used to put the brackets on the wall at the big tournaments? Yeah. And they got me because everybody walking around, man, who was Henry Tillman? So I'm asking Smitty, why everybody keep saying, who was Henry Tillman? He said, don't worry about it. He knew I'm not experiencing none of this. My first time on the plane, first time at a boxing show outside of prison and everything.
Yeah, wow.
And so, but what it was, I found out later on what it was when he told me is that because the guy that they had me fighting first was Elmer Martin from the Navy. He had like 187 fights. He had more losses than I had fights. He had like 187 fights with like 16 losses and like 92 knockouts. You know what I mean? But that's a good record.
That's a real good record, yeah.
But I'm not knowing none of this. That didn't mean nothing to me, though. So everybody going, who is Henry Tillman with 10 fights? Finna fight this guy. Because 10, that's when you can fight open.
Yeah, you had to have 10 fights, yeah.
You had to have 10 fights.
But where'd you get your 10 fights?
All behind the wall.
Well, I know that, but aren't they supposed to be sanctioned?
They were sanctioned.
They were sanctioned behind the wall? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the referees, everything.
Okay, all right, I got you.
Then it was called the ABF, Amateur Boxing Federation. It wasn't USA Boxing.
Yeah, okay.
They had their referees and all that there.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah. And so when I fought him, I beat him up. Looked like he just started fighting. I beat him
amazing.
all up. Yeah, then Pat Nappy came up to me with that cigar I'll never forget. And like, I'm raised in South Central. And before I got in boxing, I wasn't used to being around white people. Because every white person I had ever been around at that point in my life was in some kind of position of authority. Principal, probation officer, police, judge. And so I didn't want to go around them. To me, they was trouble for me. And so when he came and asked me, I didn't really know what to say. I said, he said, there's a typo on your record or something, isn't it? I didn't know no damn typo was this time, I ain't been nowhere. I'm just raw. I ain't been no further than South Central. I ain't been to Vegas or nothing yet. You know what I mean? I only been right in Southern California. And I look at my trainer. He said, your record is 101 or 102 because it's just 10 fights.
Yeah.
So he like, it got to be another number. I said, no. He just said, get out there and walked off. So I'm like, what'd I do? I'm thinking I got in trouble. I thought I did something wrong. And Smitty said, no, you all right, son. You all right. You good. And pat me on the back. And we left. I was puzzled for so long why this guy mad at me. Because I didn't really know what he was talking about.
So how did you do in the Nationals, the first Nationals?
Quarterfinals. I fought a guy that nobody knew. He was like me. Mm-hmm. I beat the stuffing out of him. It was the first time they let a lady be an official, a scorekeeper in the National. And neither one of us was known, so she gave him all my scores and gave me all his scores. And that's how I got the loss. And they was trying to overturn it and everything, but they was saying, man, this is how I go in the National. And what really made him like me, what made Pat Nappy like me, because Smitty told me, he said, son, you trying to win this thing, because I done won 3, 1, 2, I'm just winning. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah. And there was a girl that worked there at the hotel. She was young. She was about like 22, 23 maybe. And she was real sweet on me. All come talking to me. I said, Smitty, you let me have one round with that girl if I win this thing? I ain't had no ass in damn near 2 years. And so he said, if you win this thing, son, I'm going to let you have one round, 3 minutes. I said, all right, cool. And so I'm in the ring, and they going, this guy won and all, and people going boo. They throwing shit. I'm telling you, they throwing stuff and everything. I'm looking at Smitty going, Smitty, know I won. Can I still, he, oh, son, you all right. So I'm trying to get out the ring now. I'm starting shaking the dude's hand and thank you. And they looking at that as good sportsmanship. They don't know I'm trying to get upstairs. I'm not thinking about no sportsmanship. It was so funny. But then he said, no, son, I couldn't do that. My family, this is my job. He got all that old shit. I got mad. Man, fuck boxing. I ain't never boxing again. He said, no, don't worry about it, son. And mind you, when I went, he didn't have me no cuffs. But I went back, he put the cuffs on me. He cuffed me to the seat.
Wow.
I said, Then when I get back, first person I see is my mother and my father. I said, they finna indict me over to the big yard. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Then surprise, they released me. Pat Nappy got me released to come down to Colorado Springs and live and train for the '84 Olympics. But I didn't know it though.
Oh, that's a blessing.
Yeah,
man.
I thought I was in trouble. I thought the whole time. I thought I bet.
Colorado's where they have the Olympic training
center, right?
Yeah.
And shit, I cut Smitty out almost all the way back from Indiana. You know what I mean? Going, he would buy me stuff. He'd buy me shit and coming back. But he would buy me stuff on the plane, soda or something. Because I was heavyweight, so I didn't have no weight problem. I walked around 198 pounds, without even training.
Heavyweight was 200,
201,
right? Yeah.
91 kilograms. And so they sent me straight to Colorado Springs. They let me go home for a week to visit my parents, and I had to go report to Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center on a program called Operation Gold. And as soon as I walk in the gym down there, everybody going, what are you doing here? We got 13 fights. Then once they saw me sparring and stuff, they said, phew, like that. They were like, whoa. But Pat Nappy, he told me, he said, I like the way you think in the ring. I see you thinking. I see you setting up. I see you moving. Because people look at this and say, oh, yeah, he big. He going to punch hard. Because the way I was built like this guy walking in and just started knocking and socking and knocking people out. And but I was a pure boxer with a good right hand. And that's what he liked. He said, man, that'll win all this whole thing. He said, if you just keep doing that, hit, not be hit, hit, not be hit, hit, not be hit. Not run, just make a circle. Make the square into a circle. He said, that's your job. Make this square into a circle. And that's what I would do. And
it's called boxing, man.
Well, Smitty taught me how to move to my right first. Most right-handers move confident to their left. So he pushed me to move to my right all the time until I got real comfortable with it. Because he knew this way would be easy. That's how I beat a lot of people. I would take a right hand and I move this way and be pushing them. And I'm pushing them on their strong hand. They didn't know how to do that. And so it stumbled them. They be like
that's like that's an amazing success story because it led up to 1984. Yeah. You made the team.
Pan Am Games, World Championships, and all that.
Yeah, and you ultimately, before you went to the Olympics, what was your last fight before the Olympics with Mike Tyson? Was that the one that got you to qualify?
That was my last fight.
Developing, but
and you had 2 fights in a row with him, right?
At this point in
it was the best 2 out of 3.
It was the best 2 out of 3. He fought Mike Tyson.
Unless I knock him out or he knocked me out the first fight, then it's a wrap.
And then it's a wrap, yeah.
But I beat him and came back. I was in Texas.
Well, you got dropped in the first fight?
First fight. Because my ribs got broke by Terry Anderson the night before.
Wow. And he hit you there?
As soon as he came, I think somebody told him.
Somebody must have told him.
In the first round, wasn't even 30 seconds in, he socked me straight on my side. I just fell through the road. I almost didn't get up. I ain't lying. I was saying, man, because that was like a.
So if you didn't get up, you wouldn't have qualified, right?
No, he would. Well, no. Yeah, I wouldn't have qualified. That'd have been a stoppage. That'd have been RSC, referee stop contest. Yeah, but I got up. You hear Smith like, "Get up, you big faggot! Get up!" that was a bad word, boy, especially coming out of the youth authority. You call somebody that, you gonna be fighting. I don't care if the superintendent is sitting right there. You better hit that.
Smitty was working your corner, right?
For that.
He was at, Mm-hmm. Well, Smitty was a blessing. I got to know Smitty. That's where I met Henry at the Broadway gym in Watts, and I met his trainer. Great guy. He was he was always had a smile on his face.
Smitty was like a father figure to a lot of people, though. You know what I mean? He took people under his wings, and at that time he only had a daughter. He had no sons. You know, he didn't have a son till way later on, pretty much after we had all retired. He had a son, but he took guys he liked. He had Lonnie Gray, which was a good fighter heavyweight, but Lonnie let the streets call too strong for him. Was too strong for him to walk away and just concentrate on boxing. But Lonnie could fight, man.
Well, Smitty was a pro fighter too, right?
Yeah.
He was a main event fighter. He was a 10-round fighter, right?
Yeah, we're doing a documentary on him right now because I never believed that he got his just due in boxing. Because ain't many people take a kid from no fights at all, 2 years for the Olympics, and then go win the Olympics.
Without Smitty, you might have been in the big house
dead,
across the street,
sitting on death row or something. Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you got a fighter right now. Oh, look who's coming in here, man.
Sneaking. Hey.
Long time, man.
Right? You know, Bill used to be my trainer. That's why I was coming down today.
Come here, man.
Watching all that crap. Man, look at this guy.
I'm about to see you for another 25 years.
Oh, I'm still breathing.
Yeah.
I'm still with you.
Hey, have a seat,
still
Don.
with you.
Wow.
Oh, I'm listening to hear this story, man.
It's amazing how we got to the Olympic, to the big gold, man.
Rounds. Be with us. The decision.
Champion, Henry Tillman.
Of course, exactly what you had to expect. After a tough first round that might have been given to Tyson, Tillman was clearly superior in the next 2 rounds. It was an unanimous decision, and the scoring was close in each and every judge's card. But it was unanimously and properly for Tillman. I said they might meet again in the box off, so they might. Tyson continues to improve as a fighter. Coming up, super heavyweights, Terrell.